Number 12. In 2005, the total waste generated in a certain country was 6.608 times 10 to the 9th pounds. Also in 2005, the country's population was 1.56 times 10 to the 5th people. Determine the garbage per capita or per person in that country in the year 2005. And it says to use scientific notation and to round it to 2 decimal places as needed. Now to find the amount per person, we need to divide the amount of total waste by the amount of people. So we're dividing this number here, the pounds of garbage, by the amount of people. So let's do that. Now this is one where you're not going to want to run and just throw everything into the calculator, because you're going to get an obnoxious answer if you do that. So what you want to do though is divide each of these numbers first, and then divide each of these, and then put it into scientific notation. So dividing these two numbers, we get approximately 2.24. It asks you to round to 2 decimal places, so make sure you round it to the nearest hundredth place. So in my case, it gives me 4.24. Now I divide these. Since they have the same bases, I simply subtract the exponents. 9 minus 5 is 4, so I have 10 to the 4. This is in scientific notation already because this number is between 1 and 10. So then this will be my answer. Typing that in, we have 4.24 times 10 to the 4th power. And that's number 12. Number 13 is asking you to evaluate. We have a fraction all being raised to a power. So let's take a closer look at it. When we have a fraction being raised to a power, we raise both the numerator and the denominator to that power. So we have 3 squared over 100 squared. 3 squared is 9, and 10 squared is 100. This does not reduce, so my fraction is going to be 9 over 100, so that's my answer. So typing in 9 over 100, that's the answer to number 13. Number 14. It is asking you to write the following with positive exponents only. So let's take a closer look at that. Remember, when we have a fraction all being raised to an exponent, we raise everything in the top and the bottom to the exponent of 7 in this case. So we have 3 to the 7, u to the 7, and v to the 7. 3 to the 7th power is 2,187. So my answer is going to be 2,187 u to the 7th over v to the 7th. So let's type that in. So I'm typing in 2,187 u to the 7th power all over v to the 7th. And that's number 14. Let's look at number 15. We are doing the same thing, so let's look closer at it. So we're going to raise everything to the 2nd power. So we're going to have 6 squared, and then 5 to the 3rd to the 2nd power means we multiply exponents. So we'll have 6 squared over 5 to the 6th. 6 squared is 36. 5 to the 6th is 15,625. And that cannot reduce, so that will be our answer. Typing that in, we have 36 over 15,625. And that's number 15. Number 16, we have the fraction being raised to a negative exponent. So let's take a look. When you have a fraction raised to a negative exponent, it means that the first thing you should do is flip it upside down and then make the exponent positive. So I'm going to flip 2/3 upside down and get 3 over 2. That's going to be raised to the 1st power, which is just itself. So my answer is going to be 3 over 2. Typing that in, I'll have 3 over 2. That's number 16. Number 17 is asking you to simplify the following expression. There's a lot going on there, so let's take a good look at it. At first glance, this looks very messy and very obnoxious, but if you take it piece by piece, it's not too bad. So first we start by dealing with the numbers in front, the constants, the coefficients of the numbers. So we have 5 over 10. And since the larger number is at the bottom, reduce it as if it's the fraction 5/10, and that becomes 1/2. So just write 2 at the bottom of the fraction. Now let's take a look, go to the right from there, take a look at the x's. We have x to the negative third over x squared. Remember the rule says subtract the larger exponent from the smaller, so we have 2 minus a negative 3, which would be x to the fifth. Now since the larger number is at the bottom, you'll have x to the fifth at the bottom. So now we got the 5's and 10's gone and the x is gone. Now you just have to deal with the y's. We have at the bottom y to the negative third to the second exponent. Multiply them and you'll get y to the negative 6. Now we can simplify that. So subtract the larger exponent from the smaller one, so 5 minus a negative 6 will give you positive 11. Since the larger number is up top, you have y to the 11 up top and 2x to the fifth staying at the bottom. So my answer is going to be y to the 11 over 2x to the fifth. Add in, we have y to the 11 over 2x to the fifth. That's number 17. 18 is asking you to simplify the following expression. So let's take a closer look at that. The first thing I notice is that the entire fraction is being raised to a negative exponent. That means what I like to do first on this is flip the fraction upside down and make the exponent positive, so that is easier to work with and my exponents are all positive. So now what I do is raise everything in the fraction to the second power. So that will be x to the third to the second power, which I multiply the exponent, so that's x to the sixth, then y squared, then we have 5 squared, x squared, and y to the 5 to the second power, I multiply 5 and 2 and get 10. So then I have this. So then I would raise this 5 to the second power to simplify that, and I'll get 25. Notice how there are still y's and x's in my expression. I gotta simplify that. Because I have x's on the top and the bottom and y's on the top and the bottom, I have to simplify that. So looking at the x's, I subtract the larger exponent from the smaller one, so 6 minus 2 is 4. So I'll have x to the 4 up top, since that's where the larger one was, and that 25 stays at the bottom. Now I look at the y's. Subtract the larger from the smaller, I have 10 minus 2 is 8. The larger exponent's at the bottom, so I'll have y to the 8 at the bottom. So then this here would be my final answer, x to the 4 over 25y to the 8. So let's put that in. So typing in x to the 4 over 25y to the 8. And that's number 18.